Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Tuesday. Almost said a Wednesday, but yes, only Tuesday. We did have a practice today for the Texas Longhorns. It was a closed practice, and we have information from that we want to get to you that we got from a few sources. Also, Steve Sarkisian spoke to the media today. I think for the first time all spring camp. So, man, Cody, there's a lot to get to. What mostly sticks out to you? Do you want to start with some practice updates from sources, from what Sark has said? What do you think we should do?
Let's keep no. Let's start with the good stuff. Let's start with Justus Terry and Jamie Ffrench.
Okay, so just a couple of updates that I got today from practice. I was just asking around, texting again. This was a closed practice today, the seventh practice of the spring period. So, no eyeball test stuff, but we're going to string together what we can from what we were able to get and texting with a few sources. And I was asking one guy about what was happening with the wide receiver rotation at Texas now that Wingo and DeAndre Moore are missing practices. And more specifically, kind of the thing that Cody and I were talking about is if Aaron Butler, if he was still kind of playing behind Parker Livingstone, or whether they might be giving him some run outside on the other side, or just kind of how that works. Because on the other side, without Ryan Wingo, you just have two freshmen over there, and Jamie Ffrench and Michael Terry from everything that we'd seen so far. And he said no. He said that he just said not really. But the question was, had they moved Aaron Butler to work on that first group? And he said, not really. He said at practice today, it was Livingstone, Butler, and Khalif Lockett over there at the Z wide receiver, and that it was Ffrench on the other side. And he said that Ffrench looks good. Looks like he's, looks like he says he's out there, he looks like he's, playing well. So it's looking like Ffrench is probably ahead over there. It's Sark mentioned it today in this press conference. It's, these guys miss a time is getting these other dudes some extra run, but it does look like Ffrench is out there running with the ones every day right now.
If Ffrench is your 4/5, and I told you a year ago, right, when I saw Jamie Ffrench in person, I posted clips of it on X. When I saw him in person, I told you that I thought he was pro ready, in that he's a guy that could walk in and practice in the NFL tomorrow because of his route running, his body control, his hands, things like this, things that allow you to succeed at the next level quick. It's different than the freshmen that we're used to seeing burst onto the scene, right? You're used to seeing these dynamos burst onto the scene, whether it was back when Julio did it, or if it's yesterday when Jeremiah Smith did it, or even Ryan Williams to a certain extent. It's the big plays. Jamie Ffrench is not that type of a guy. So for me, it's, as much as I love him, and I would tell you a year ago, and I'll tell you today, he kind of reminds me of like a young Justin Jefferson. I understand where Jefferson's at right now. Jamie Ffrench is a higher end recruit than was Jefferson. It's interesting. I think it's big that he maybe is the guy that's taking the big step quickest, or taking the quickest big step forward. Lockett still being technically behind Butler. I know McCutcheon's obviously getting those first team reps at slot because there's no DeAndre Moore. Where's Michael Terry in this bunch?
I think is still working at number 2X, and also moving in and working in the slot sometimes.
Well, you say number 2X. I mean, that's where you're saying behind Ffrench. So technically,
yeah. I mean, Ffrench right now, from what I'm seeing, like it's
he
just says it was Ffrench. I'm like, who was on the other side of Livingstone? He says it was Ffrench.
I love that. I mean, I love that. It's different. I love it though.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't probably not on the old bingo card that's where we were going to be after 6 or after 7 practices. Now at the halfway point, but that's how it looks. And whether that was just today, or whether I get the feeling like that's not just today, because he said that they haven't really been doing that. So it's odd to me because last year, whenever we first got our first glimpse of Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond and Silas Bolden and all these dudes and how they were going to be mixing in with the Jonte Cooks of the world, it was, you know, if you would have gone to watch practice just on that first day and you would have just um, rooted all your suppositions in that, you'd have been way off with how things were by the end of spring ball. You'd have been way off by how things were by the middle of spring ball. I mean, they had Matthew Golden start. I was like the number 2 slot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just like it was 1-0-7 to start. It was Bond, Cook, and DeAndre Moore was the guys who were out there starting. And it's just, it feels like there isn't any real, there's no room or there's no personnel. They don't have numbers to really do anything at slot because Dalen McCutcheon is filling in for DeAndre Moore. Behind him is just walk-ons. The only thing they can do is, we've heard Michael Terry's been working in a little bit over there. And then as far as with Terry, you just have, I'm sorry. As far as with Ffrench, basically it's just Ffrench and Terry over there. It feels like feels to me like Ffrench is if they had to play a game today, which clearly they don't, but they were full pads today. They did work team drills today. So, if they had to kind of do team drills today, they did them, and it was Ffrench.
So 2 things. One, and I'm going to sidetrack things in because they just go together from Sark's press conference today. He had an availability. He at one point said, blah, 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 without Dre, we're getting to see more McCutcheon, et cetera, et cetera. But he did have a sentence in there where he said, DeAndre is working back, but we know what he is. So he's like in the process of working back. I don't know what that means, obviously, but he's not in the recovery phase. It sounds like he's in the boot up phase or you know what I'm saying? Like getting ready phase.
He's still off to the side working.
Correct. But what I'm saying is he's not in like, I don't know if he was ever in a boot or anything like this, but he's not in a recovery phase. He's more of like a soft ramp up. It sounds like based on he's working back. That's what Sark said about him. The other direction I went was he made a note about, he was asked about the portal in the back half. I think it was one of the last questions he was asked. And he said that the numbers was the thing. The numbers in the wide receiver room were not quite up to the scholarship number. And if you look at what you just listed off, which was Livingstone, Butler, Lockett, Ffrench, Terry, Wingo, that's 3 at X, 3 at Z. And then in the slot, you have your Moore, your McCutcheon, and then there's technically not a 9th. Would that be the number? You said earlier this spring, you reported it, that slot was the direction they were going to go in the portal. Do you think that that's still probably the thing, and that we can take this away is that they generally want to have 3 at each position on scholarship?
Well, I think it would be better to have a disproportionate, just because of the snap volume. I think it would be better to have, you're going to have one of your outside guys playing double the number of snaps as your slot guys. At least one of those guys will.
That's where my brain went. This is why I asked you this question, because my brain went, well, I don't really feel like I need to have 3 slot guys.
I don't know. I can call that guy, the guy who told me that. I can call him back and ask if the calculus has changed. But at that time it was very specific. It said they're going after a slot. You can write that in pen. So I don't know why it would have changed, because they're clearly, you've heard Sark today. He's like, we're just being careful. It's a little hammy flare up with Wingo. We're not worried about DeAndre Moore. So clearly they're not worried long-term about those guys. So nothing's changed. Nothing's changed for the 2025 season.
No, because that was post signing when that was brought up.
But I do agree. I don't think that they should take a slot receiver.
That's what I'm getting at. It feels like they should try to get somebody that,
they
could potentially play Z or. No, I mean,
or
I
X.
think Livingston probably is fine, but somebody that can play, that has reps, that would make you feel bad. That would, in theory, this would be the thing that would make the most sense, is that you bring a Z in that has at least played snaps and caught footballs in college football, right? And that's nothing against Livingstone, because I wholeheartedly believe in everything that you've reported and said. But if you look at the roster, you go, well, Wingo's caught footballs, DeAndre Moore's caught footballs, right? And
Yeah.
that's your starting action, your starting slot. Theoretically, I would say it would be a Z, but I think we talked about earlier on the modcast, and I kind of go the direction of, well, I wouldn't mind something, not a Isaiah Bond, but something like an Isaiah Bond where he played 40% at Bama that last year, and then he played outside as well. Something like that would probably be the best case, right?
Yeah, because if you, well, yes, and I'm coming at it from the angle of, I realize I might be in the minority here. I'm not worried about Parker Livingstone. I
No,
just
but
like
no,
I'm
I'm
not
not either.
too far
I'm just
from.
saying from a
I'm
numbers
excited
perspective.
about him. I I
Yeah.
I I and I always have been.
Yep.
But the it's more just from it's more from like, how are you going to build that room? How, like, what's the makeup of that room going to be? And if we just look, I've probably said the numbers on here a million times, but if I just look at what Texas did last year, as far as the player personnel utilization percentages by game or by the season, they were in 11 personnel. So it was more last year than I thought. 52% of the time. So 52% of the time, a slot wide receiver was out there, right? It's half the plays. Now, does the fact that Texas this year, we can talk about tight ends in a minute, because it's clear that Sark's going after a tight end in the portal. They
Yep.
they absolutely need to be tampering right now to make sure that a good one gets in. But if it turns out that tight end's a weakness, and you're like, even though the offense really does call for us to be at a 12 personnel to run some of these, to run some of these plays that we like to play, some of these concepts that we really like, where we just need, where it's like, for outside zone, we really need our inline tight end on the front side of the play, and we really need to stack him with the H back to have him crack back to the end man on the line of scrimmage, as far as the split zone stuff. Um, that was where Juan Davis was really good last year, and like, you would think to yourself, well, why would you get Juan Davis on the field over DeAndre Moore? It's like, well, it's not because you think he's a 1-for-1 better replacement. It's because you need him to execute the play, right? But is the fall off from DeAndre Moore to say having Jordan Washington or Amari Winston or um, or Spencer Shannon, or name your second Will Randall, is that far enough to where you can say, I don't know, man, we can maybe run this split zone stuff without the help on the play side as far as the inline tight end? Does that make sense? Like,
That's what I said on the
so
on
there,
the
so
on the
there
demo.
could be less. There could be less 12 personnel, which would mean maybe more slot, which would mean that would make sense for the slot. But dude, McCutcheon, from everything we've heard, he's looked really good. If anything were to happen to Moore, but that is a really thin. That leaves you really thin if something were to happen to Moore, because then it's just McCutcheon, and he's just a freshman, and Ffrench is probably going to have to play. And now you're saying, like, what, 2 freshmen you're going to have 50 to 70% snaps? So I don't know, man. It's tough. I feel like I've kind of talked myself in circles about it, saying maybe slot's not the best, but maybe it is. Maybe it still is.
What about the tight end thing you just brought up? As I keep talking about just for a second, because one thing of the numbers, he said the numbers at the receiver position are down. D line not where we want it to be with scholarships, and tight end. Those were the
Man, I
three
heard the
positions
D line.
those are the three, huh? Those are the three positions that Sark brought up when he was talking about the portal, when he was asked about the portal specifically. And when he talked about tight end, the one thing that has been reported is DeAndre Moore, Ryan Wingo, we know it's soft tissue. They're not worried. They're just going to let him rest, get better. Jordan Washington, the tight end, had a collarbone, and that's different. And Sark said it's going to take a couple months. And the first name he brought up today,
Now I heard he's in a sling.
yeah, well, it sounds like he probably broke his collarbone.
Yeah, he hurt his collar. Yeah, he's probably just having.
He probably broke it. I mean, he said bone. They said it's bone versus. I think they would have said, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal if it was just like a something." It sounds like it's probably a broken collarbone. If you're reading the tea leaves. So with him theoretically he's out for the rest of the spring.
Yeah,
we don't know what the future looks like. After that, he was asked about tight end, and he was talking about Washington, and he says Amari Winston, and then Spencer Shannon. And that's where that's how we talked about the tight end position. That caught my attention because Amari Winston's been on campus. Today was his 7th practice, right? And Spencer Shannon is the guy we kind of, not that we expected a lot out of him, but you expected Spencer Shannon to probably be the lead throughout most of camp. Sounds like Amari Winston was the first name he brought up. I don't know if you want to read into that or not.
Well, I did notice that. But I chose not to. I chose not to take much away from it. I mean, one of my big takeaways from that first practice was I thought that Spencer Shannon looked like he was. I mean, he's bigger than the rest. He's out there. He's out there leading the group. He's running first. Like, it's just. There was zero doubt that it's like whenever they were like, all right, and the ones came up there and Arch Manning's there, and it's this, the 7-on-7 type of stuff. It's like he's out there with the first group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I thought honestly, I was like, dude, this guy looks big. Gosh, he looks bigger. And I don't know if maybe I didn't notice him last year because Helm's a big guy too, but it couldn't have been. I've never once in my life left a practice thinking, oh, Spencer Shannon looks like he could be a player. That's just the same way that I did that day. So, but to your point, I did find it interesting that Amari Winston was is it Emory? Did he say it a little different than usual? Amari, okay.
I don't know.
Whenever he said
usually, Amari, I mean, it's technically the first time he's ever talked about him. So,
yeah. Whenever he, I always get it mixed up because generally Amari is Amari, but he spells his with an E or something, right? Amari, yeah.
Should we get into our combine name pronunciation and name spelling game?
I'm not sure. Yeah, you're better at that with the Tet error, McMillan, and all the rest of it, right?
You know what I heard somebody say? A.D. Mitchell's first name the other day, Adani
Mitchell, or I
heard that. I go, whoa, boy! I was like, what? A double take.
And look, I understand that. Like, I can understand it for guys like Todd McShay and some of the best, draft analysts out there for them to call Jahdae Barron, right? Because I know that those guys don't watch the TV copy of games. They just don't. They watch all 22. And whenever we get to this point in the process, that's all you and I watch also to grade prospects is the all 22 stuff. And clearly there's no one saying these guys' names. I'm just like, man, these people that are like the college, like college football dudes and draft analysts and stuff, they're like, did you not watch a single game to know that his name's Jahdae Barron and not Jadai? You know what I mean? It's just crazy. It's crazy to me. Like, even some of these guys, I could never spell it. Like Eamon Warrior. Like, I could never spell his name. I've heard his name enough.
Yep.
It's but so all that definitely interesting stuff. The most interesting thing that I heard from practice today is something regarding Justus Terry, and it's almost as mouth-watering a nugget as the steaks that you'll get at Texas Beef Traders. Have you been to Texas Beef Traders? It's right, like you have a gym if you live in the Austin area, and you're just letting it sit under your nose. You get 10% off whenever you go in there. And the steaks at this point, how much steaks cost right now? It's cheap. It's cheaper at Texas Beef Traders. This meat comes from 90 miles away. It comes from Mason, Texas. And it comes from bovine nutritionists that care about this herd. This herd is never commingled with any others. Their diet is strictly monitored. They're grass fed, right? It's a grass fed herd, but it's Mason, Texas. So you never know. It could be like if it's during the dry season, whatever. It doesn't matter because guess what they do out there at MTX Ranch? They'll just go to the local HEB and they'll ask them, all right, give us all your like strawberries or whatever it is that are about to go bad. And we're take this back and we're going to give them to the herd. But it all needs to be non-GMO. It all needs to be, above board. This is no antibiotics, no vaccines, no steroids, none of this stuff, dude. It's just a delicious beef. Whether it's just some ground beef for burgers. I had spaghetti and meatballs from Texas Beef Traders last night from the Piedmontese herd. Just delicious. Again, right there off Loman's Crossing, we have our beef jerky that we also sell. We can put that QR code up, and there should be a link in the description below to get your beef jerky. But that's the Football with Friends, Texas Beef Traders, Tastiest Hell Beef Jerky. They're great partners with us. Please make sure that you give them a call. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Tell them that we sent you. Go in and get some good food, man. All right,
Alex.
Yeah.
I usually try to get something for you for this. My what I'm eating, what I've eaten, what I'm gonna eat. So you brought up cauliflower pizza crust last week, and I told you I did this cheesy onion pizza crust. Trying to do a little less carbs. I'm rather carnivore, but I do like me some bread, so I'm trying to get away from it. So tonight, what I'm doing, I got it out there prepped. I think my wife is hopefully putting it in the oven, but I got a pound of Wagyu beef bacon that's getting cooked as we speak right now. I can smell it. And then my sandwich, I'm not having bread. I'm having cheese, shredded cheese with a pickle and shredded cheese on top. Put a little oil on it. You melt it down so it cooks down. So imagine like a very crunchy or very crispy grilled cheese sandwich on the outside. And so I'm going to have bacon cheese as your bread with Wagyu beef bacon in between. Smash or pass?
Yeah, smash. Well, are you making it like you're putting little pickle spears to make it like
flats? So they're the long kind of shaped like this.
Yeah.
The flat pickles.
So I put
a layer of cheese on there. No, I put a layer of cheese out, so it's like this, but like this.
Yeah.
And then I put a piece of pickle on it. You have to dry the pickles off first with paper towels, and then put cheese on top. And then you put it in the oven at 350, let it melt together, and then get crispy. And then you take it off the parchment paper or the wax parchment paper, and then you have the bacon, which is the size, that length, right? So your sandwich is going to be like the length.
Oh, so you're probably going to eat like 3 of these sandwiches.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that sounds delicious. So, nice.
Just a little maniacal, concoction I came up with in my brain.
Yeah, you gotta let me know how that. You got to let me know how that
I'll
goes.
take some pictures. I'll see what it looks like.
All right. So the most interesting thing I heard from practice today was good news. So it sounds like Justus Terry's back at practice, and he had been.
Well, I don't know if we ever got a report that he wasn't at practice.
Well, he wasn't at practice on the first day, and we'd heard that they were taking it slow with him.
Okay. Well, I thought you said that he was there, but he had walked off or something. But he was.
Yeah, I mean, he was walking off with the hurt guys.
Okay.
And people have been squirrely about ever answering any questions about him. Today, they were just like, he's out there, he's fine. And it was a full pads practice today. So if he's out there, I'm like, was he fully participating? He's like, he was out there as normal. And I go, oh, that's awesome. So Justus Terry, clearly it's good that he's out there. If there were any questions, he's fine. That was what I was told. He's fine. And that he's actually working out with the defensive line, not the defensive ends, which I just I've had all day to think about that. He comes in to the program at 263 pounds. He was recruited certainly as a defensive tackle. That was what Texas was getting in Justus Terry, 5-star defensive tackle from the state of Georgia, just an epic steal, the most expensive the most expensive recruiting gem on the roster that they paid to date. And in so doing, they brought in a 6'5", 263 pounder. And so he came in light. And the expectation was, and the reporting was, he was going to start out playing defensive end. But they say he's working out with the defensive line. He's working out with the tackles. He's working out with the hero canoes and the Shaws and the Brevards and stuff with January and stuff. He's working out with those guys. Do you find it weird at 263 he's doing that? Or maybe he weighs more than he says on the roster. Maybe they think by the time summer comes around, he'll be 283. And at that point you can say, well, yeah, he's a little undersized, but he's a freshman. We're not, we'll just play him at 3 and see how he does. Maybe have him in different packages that are some of the lighter packages like the dime or, all this stuff we're hearing about. There's another note about Trey Moore, but with the way that they're using him, if they have specific rush packages with him, you could probably have a 3 or a 4-eye kind of a little bit more undersized.
So I guess I'm having a little bit of trouble mentally processing a spot for him, because I think when you look at, something we've talked about the last, I guess, 2 weeks now, like the theory that they're potentially putting in a package or something, maybe it's more than a package, similar to that Georgia defense, the Mint defense, that moves guys around and essentially gives you a nose tackle and like 2 4-eyes or a 4-eye and a 3-tech, and then allows you to have these 2 stand-up outside linebacker types. And to me, like, that's a spot where and those are classified as DNs. Those guys that play like the 4-eye in the Georgia defense, they're classified as DNs, even though they're really D tackles. And the average size, and I found this, I was looking up an article, the average size of those defensive ends that were playing 4-eye and sort of a 3-tech shade, but 4-eye and 5, 6'4", 274. That's the average size. This was from the 2017 defense. The nose tackle was 293, and then those outside backers were 248, 250. So in theory, I think it would make the most sense.
Defense?
Yeah. So that was the year that he transitioned.
Oh.
He transitioned to this new Mint defense in 2017. And then this is the Aziz Ojulari last
year.
What's that?
What about the guys that played it last year?
Go to the roster last year. I think it was who was it? Nazir Stackhouse. Stackhouse. Was he last year was not a good year to compare it to, though. Like the probably the one you want to compare it to is like the Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, right? So Carter would have been when he came out, he was 314, but Davis was the nose. But those are guys that are through the program. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of having a hard time with it, because I don't think that you can look at Justus Terry and go, this is the question on day one. We talked about it through the process, was if he's 265, I can't consciously have the same expectations I had for like a Colin Simmons last year playing edge, getting after the quarterback. I can't consciously say at 265, I really believe Justus Terry can excel near a freshman All-American level at 3-tech in the SEC. I can't think that. Logically, my football brain won't let me think that, because of as much of a dog as he is, you're playing on the interior, on the defensive line, in the toughest conference in America.
What if he's 285? How much did Walter Nolan weigh last year?
About 285.
I mean,
I think Nolan came into the combine at 2. I think you're right on the nuts there. It was like 296 is what he weighed at the, and I bet he gained weight for it, because he's not very big.
I think you can beat. I think you can. I think if you're in the 280s, you could. It's just like, what are we going to do? We're going to play him at strong side defensive end for one season. I mean, if they're going to bargain, like if if they're gonna bite his dogs, they're gonna bite his puppies, dude. Like, get him in there, see what he can do. Like, don't. I think with Lance Jackson, it. Yeah, I don't know. He was recruited as a defensive end. We just saw that with the way it looked like his body was sort of forming, that he was going to be somebody who was going to have to move inside eventually. But he comes in at 258. It's not like he comes in that much smaller than where Justus Terry comes in. We're talking like 5 pounds of difference, but their bodies look different.
What'd they give Jackson for a height on the roster?
6'5".
I feel like we've proportionally thought that like Lance and Landon are both like 6'8", like 280. I feel like I've always just thought that.
Landon looks like he's right out of central casting from some gladiator movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like
he's got like the dark
looks
eye.
like he looks like he almost looks like he was like drawn by an artist to be like a some scary gladiator that you don't want to mess with. Yeah, but we'll see, man. I don't know. I think that it's rare people tell me and like this isn't somebody I can keep texting with. They say like, well, why? I need to ask more people. Maybe it's like maybe they feel like they need help along the defensive line. I needed to kick around about that a little bit more. Sark definitely mentioned it as something.
It's so weird though, because
sorry.
Like, no, we have a combination of a thought here, but it's weird that like he brings up D line, you're hearing D line. They had the edge rusher David Bailey in, and then you hear positive stuff about Justus Terry. Today, Sark talked about the transfer defensive tackles. He talked about Shaw. They're coming along very slowly because he had a prior knee injury. They're trying to bring him on slowly. I don't know if he's currently injured or I know he was injured. I don't know if he currently is, but they're taking it easy with him. And he says he likes what he's seen from Cole Brevard and Harold Canoe. I keep calling him Harold. It's Harold Canoe. And we still hear that they potentially going to go back in, even though Alex January's there. We've heard a little positivity from that camp, but I don't know. The defensive line position, the whole defensive line group, non-edge rushers, it's very interesting to me that I feel like it should be a good enough, but obviously if we're hearing things, it's not good enough.
They're gonna address it. Sark did he mention offensive line? He didn't mention offensive line today. I mean, he did. He talked about them. He mentioned 7 guys by name. The only guy he didn't mention by name, weirdly, was Neto Yamuzulo.
Yeah,
like that's it. But you know what? We should talk about that because there was some. Do you have a note on that? Because
I have a couple of them.
Okay, because I have a couple of things that I need everybody here to hear from, of course, our great partners and our great friends over at Specs.
Have you heard the news? Specs is turning 63, and we're celebrating you. Whether you're looking for whiskey, canned cocktails, or wine, Specs has it all with Texas-sized savings all month long. Specs. Cheers to save.
All right, so thanks so much to Specs. Thanks so much to Poncho Outdoors for being such great sponsors here on Football with Friends. It is indeed fun as hell. Thanks to the almost 600 of you guys that are in here watching right now. We wouldn't be able to have all you guys and have all this fun without the Specs chat line, without Poncho Outdoors, without Texas Beef Traders, and of course, our great friends over at myperfectfranchise.net. Our great friend, really, Andy Bludicki, who can just who can change your life. Make sure you give him a call at myperfectfranchise.net. All right. So what do you said you had a few different notes.
So the first one was he said that he thinks this is the best DJ Campbell we've ever had.
I hope so. Right? I mean, he's the like by far like the stalwart veteran of the offensive line.
Okay? So that's your thought. My thought was one of two things. Either he's saying this as like, duh, because he's the oldest guy in the room. He shouldn't have to say this. He shouldn't have to say this. Or two, is he saying it as if like, all right, here's your juice. I'm going to give you a little bit. We need more. We need
Mm-hmm.
more. Like I was trying to figure out what side I was coming from because it was like I feel like it's a little much of a compliment from Sark. You know,
I don't.
normally it feels like he's kind of he's showing this, showing that. Not to come out and be like this is the best we've seen. This is the best of him we've seen. Not hey, Campbell's had a great spring so far. He's the leader in that room. We're expecting him to be the leader in that room. He's taking a step forward again this year. No, he's the best DJ Campbell we've seen so far. Inferring that he ain't been good.
Well, Sark has never been shy about saying like he's talked consistently about how DJ Campbell he said stuff like he said he gets so frustrated with DJ Campbell because he knows how good he can be, and he's like, dude, I know how much better you're better than this. He says what tilts him the most about the guy is that he knows he's brimming with upside and things, and he's just like he makes these mistakes, and it's like that's the most tilting to him. So I think it's better than that, right? It's better than that. I think DJ Campbell would rather hear Coach Sark saying what he did today, saying we're getting the best version of DJ Campbell we've had because to be clear, DJ Campbell he's been good. He's been good. He's been perfectly fine. He's been right at the threshold of what I can objectively consider above average in my snap by snap grading scale.
I think I know the answer. You did not do your deep dig stuff for Quentin Nelson's year, did you?
No, I was I was done with that. No, I think the last year I did it would have been 20. What year?
Nelson was like 18, wasn't he?
What?
No, I thought Nelson was like 18.
Yeah, I wasn't still doing that. I was doing that when I was broke, and getting my car repossessed and stuff. So okay. I think it was probably, I think that would have been 20, like right before my dad died. So 20, maybe. What I don't do you remember what year Jake Matthews was?
14.
I was doing it till 2015.
I think it was 14. Yeah.
I was the year after Jake Matthews. Maybe the year of Ode Ibushi, I think, was my last year.
I didn't mean to pull,
yeah.
I didn't mean to pull out all your life all your life stuff. But my question more so was when you look at DJ Campbell and I'm not going to compare him to Quentin Nelson, but what I'm going to say is that's the type of talent you can kind of expect. I mean, DJ Campbell was obviously the top offensive lineman the year he came out, right, in recruiting conversations, and that's the type of jump you could see if they get full blown everything out of DJ Campbell. I think you can see like a game wrecking guard in him because of how dominant he is in the run game. The pass protection stuff can come along, but if he has real potential to be like a top 3 guard in the country.
I mean, I love what S. Roan brought up here. That's like if you look at the offensive line grades, DJ Campbell had his best game of the season versus Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. Mason Graham's about to go pick 5 overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars most likely, and Kenneth Grant's going to be a first-round pick. He scored an 82.34 in that football game. He was Texas's best. I think he was the best. No, he didn't score quite as well as Kelvin Banks. Kelvin Banks scored an 82.41 in that game, but it still kind of shows it. It's color-coded, and it still shows it. Gosh, Banks was so good. Still like a little bit pink, though, because it was kind of on the bottom side of what Banks' games were last year, just to show you how good Banks was. But, yeah, he played like a guy who, if DJ Campbell plays like that in every single game, you're talking about a guy who's, I'm not sure he would be like a Tyler Booker or Donovan Jackson type of prospect.
There's potential there.
Well, no, because I think
he was a year ago, the mock draft database had him. So if you look at his trend line right now, a year ago, he was 93rd, 97th.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay. Who?
DJ Campbell.
Okay. What? Okay.
That's the third round.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is, like, if he takes a big step, I know he's got to kind of regain some of
I
that.
just think with Donovan Jackson, didn't they? I think isn't the reason he's kind of surging is because
He
you
played left
know
tackle.
because he got the experience at tackle after Josh Simmons went out for Ohio State. And I don't think that people will view DJ Campbell as a player with similar level of versatility to him. Don't think he's as good as Booker, but I think that maybe you could consider. Yeah, but I mean, as you get down to the next kind of guys, I can't believe North Dakota State. What's
Zabel, Gray Zabel.
Zabel? Somebody
Yeah.
like that could maybe he could get up to that level. Yeah, if you're getting the best version of DJ Campbell, that's an awesome version. Did you take anything from the fact that he didn't talk at all about left guard, and he didn't, and the only thing he said about right tackle was that there were some interesting battles going on there?
How about I didn't say anything from left guard other than he didn't say NATO's name, but how about that right tackle thing? He said the right tackle competition, and he said Baker, Kojo, and Brooks.
Right?
And he put Brooks right in there.
I
He
mean,
didn't say,
I don't.
"Oh, Brooks is at left." He said Baker, Kojo, Brooks.
I texted with I texted with somebody right after I heard that, and it wasn't enough for me to I wasn't going to report it because I didn't want to report something that would be. But they're like Brooks is backing up Gooseby.
So he's swinging.
Man, I guess. I'm under the distinct impression that Nick Brooks, the freshman out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, where we came from, and who lost a lot of weight, who looks really good. I'm under the very, very distinct impression that he's the number 2 left tackle. But Sark did say today that, but I do feel very strongly that maybe there is something where he's like working in over there. If that's the case, though, man, that's wild to me. Not sure what it says about Kojo and Baker. We're going to have to, as if that is not a good enough competition on its own, and we're going to have to so much so that we're going to insert a third variable.
Yeah, that's the weird thing.
I mean,
maybe Sark just doesn't know that we know that Baker's backing up Gooseby, and he just was like, "Well, he played right guard or right tackle in high school." So
yeah, but you didn't think anything about the left guard stuff. You think he just
no, he didn't say anything, which is interesting. Didn't say anything about competition. Just kind of didn't talk about it.
Yeah, because he didn't talk about Chapman. He didn't talk about NATO. But he did talk about DJ Campbell and Kibble. Mm-hmm. Talked about all the tackles. Talked about Gooseby. Talked about Cole Hudson. I'll have a note I'll save a note for the war room. I need to write that down too. About center. So we'll talk about that on Thursday. Any other things besides offensive tackle from Sark today that you want? Just a couple quick things. Let me just give a couple just highlights that I also got from practice. So there was also, and you could tell me I asked about Christian Clark since he's been getting all this buzz, and is he getting any work with the ones? And they were like, no, that's Trey Wisner, and Jarrett Gibson. Does that surprise you at all?
No, I mean, I think you look at it from the perspective of he has to earn those stripes. He didn't get a lot of practice in last year, so he's got to earn those stripes in practice. I think what Sark wrote about him, or what Sark said about him, he was running away in the winter. I don't really know how to explain it. The science these days, his balance and his body control, his top end speed. When he says things like that, and he goes, "Oh, he's coming along. He looks really good." When you use the words running away in winter, which was 4 months ago, his balance and body control that we saw in recruitment is back, and he has shown great top-end speed. Well, here's the thing with Achilles recovery. You don't make a guy show his top-end speed unless he's 100%. So I feel like the Clark news can be about kiboshed about the injury thing. I think we're about, which is crazy because we're 8 months out, but about kiboshed. And now it's like, all right, how much more do we need to see before he starts to really push Jarrett Gibson? And I think that your report's great because Gibson got carries last year. Trey obviously was the leading back. And I think it's about just Clark getting more opportunities. They expect, as he said, C4, Cedric Baxter to be back this year. That's going to be a full running back room. And Clark's not exactly going to have to be forced into any type of role, hopefully. Now, if he takes it and he shows up and he goes, guys, guess what? I got like a bionic foot. Nothing here. I can, jump cut like Saquon, and my burst is like Jimmy. Like, okay, well, that's a different conversation. But I am amazed with all of the reporting from Christian Clark and about Christian Clark. And I'm not shocked that he's not ahead of Gibson right now.
The guy said Gibson had some nice runs today, by the way.
He's a good back, man. He's a good back. Speaking of back, Savion Red back in the portal.
I saw that. I guess it's just because Brennan Marion left.
Yeah.
Wasn't he at UNLV?
No, he's at Nevada.
Oh.
He had like 800 yards, 8 touchdowns. I think he's trying to bounce back. We'll see if he can bounce back up to a power school. We'll see. Anyway, Gibson's a good back, man. I think the thing is that guys like Clark and James Simon are just a little bit different. They're more of your all-purpose, more of your bursty.
I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know what to make of James Simon and Ricky Stewart Jr. yet. You think James Simon's more the all-purpose? To me, he seems more of the kind of grinder.
No, I mean that's Gibson. Gibson to me is the grinder. Ricky Stewart.
Between Stewart and Simon, but between Stewart and Simon, if we're talking about the 20 to 25 guys.
No, I know. I'm cross-classing. I'm just looking at the whole group. I'm saying Gibson's the one, and even Gibson didn't even hardly weigh. I think the roster has him like 208, maybe. It's like he's not exactly a grinder, but he's built like a 5'10", 210, whatever it is.
I mean, that guy packs a load, man. But he is. He's only 206. He looks thicker than that.
He's always looked like 220. I don't get it, but yeah, I think that's the interesting thing. Right? You got a very deep running back room all of a sudden if they can all be healthy.
We have this saying you need to try cornbread as a bun for him. But why? That's not cutting you down on carb. Is cornbread low on carbs?
No, cornbread's bread, dude.
Oh,
I think it's just about the taste, and I love me some cornbread. Don't get me wrong.
Alex would choose unlimited access to practice or unlimited Texas beef traders. Wait, I mean, I have a clear answer here. No,
beef traders.
No,
what, you go vegan for practice?
No. But like, if I could have unlimited access to practice, I would be rich because I would just have all the scoop and I'd make all the money and everything. I wouldn't.
Are you the only one that gets it?
Well, I'm assuming no, they're not going to give unlimited access to everybody.
Well, that would be the theory, right? Like, the theory isn't that everybody gets unlimited Texas beef traders or everybody gets unlimited practice, but the two things currently, when you go to practice, everybody else goes to practice. When you get Texas beef traders, you get Texas beef traders.
I think that I pick up more at practice than any other reporter on the beat, so I would still have more information.
Fair play.
And Texas beef traders, I kind of get the hook up there anyway. You know what I mean? I can get all I need from there, and I get 10% off. Just you all get the hook up at Texas beef traders. Okay. And he says only Alex gets it and makes it even easier.
That's a layup then. You're
all right. Let's see what else. Anything else that you want to get to before we bounce out? I think that your
defensive line edge, Trey Moore.
So
there's some. I mean, he walked through the defensive back room, said it's the best position on the team. A lot of these guys will play special teams. name drop pretty much the whole defensive cornerback nickel room. But the note I wrote best was Trey Moore. He said Trey Moore is causing problems for everybody.
Somebody told me that he's lining up all over the place.
He's playing 3 different positions. He's causing identification issues, and he's particularly working with Johnny Nansen after practice. So he's just Johnny Nansen's toy.
I can't wait to see this, dude. I can't wait to see what this looks like, because whenever I heard he's lining up all over the place, and that also that they've been especially pleased with his ability to be effective in pass coverage, I'm just like, I think that Trey Moore's role is so exciting, because it's going to represent a fairly significant a tweak, at least, to what they're doing on defense, period. Like, if his role is of any kind of significance the way that we're hearing about it, that's going to be a significant change to have that kind of personnel on the football field. And to think about who comes off the field in order to make that happen. Do you take one of the ends off the field? Is it more of a 3-man? Is this truly going Georgia, the way of Georgia, the way that we kind of been talking about?
This is what I'm trying to figure out, man. It's like when he says 3 different positions, if he says 2, if he goes, he's just playing 2 different. Okay, so that means he's playing what? He's playing some edge where he usually plays, and he's probably playing some outside backer. But when you say 3, and when you look at like the base defense that Georgia ran, the mint base defense, they have a J backer, which is an outside backer, a nigh backer, which is kind of a nickel backer. It's a nickel, but it's a nickel backer that rushes. And then you have the Mike and the Will. So in theory, he'd be playing the nickel backer, the J backer, and probably the Will, right?
Or the buck end.
There's no buck end in this defense.
They're not gonna put Trey Moore in there as an off ball. I mean, he was lined up there at the first day. I just don't think they're going to line him up as an off ball inside linebacker.
But if they told us
love him coverage and they love how he can rush. What?
But if what you reported on, what others have reported, is that he's switched positions. He's not. Is he balancing? Is he playing edge and backer, or is he just playing backer? What was the report? I thought it was just that he was playing backer.
Well, no. Onward's original report was that he moved to linebacker, and when I spoke to people about it, they said that's true, but there's more nuance to it, in that it's not like they're moving him to linebacker where he's going to be there trying to fight out with a job with Leonga Lafau. That's not how this goes. And Brad Spence and stuff. That's not how this is going to go. And
they have a position for him,
which represents a fairly substantial change to what they do defensively, period.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like accounting for that and trying to figure out what exactly that means is going to be key in trying to plot out exactly what we're going to be seeing on defense from the Longhorns next season.
If you can't beat them, join them. To be the best, you got to beat the best. They came into your house and they dropped it on the table, right? They wrecked shop, right? Using that defense with Mykel Williams and with Jalen Walker. It was Mykel Williams' best game of the year, right? They came into you, dominated you with it. They beat you in the SEC championship. They've won the championships with it. Imagine this is technically Johnny Nansen joined the staff January 6th last year, right? He's been in for a full year now, and now he can start to probably make these tweaks. I just have to wonder with the staff and where you have, Nansen's role last year, I wonder how much he maybe just studied different defenses. And I get he probably does this anyway, but I wonder if it was like an intentional thing over the course of the last, the late part of the season and studying Georgia, where Nansen was like, yeah, we can do this. We got the guys to adjust. And like I said, and this goes back to the Justus Terry conversation. I'm having a tough time up here understanding if it's like all right, we're going to switch the whole defense up, so it's going to completely look different, or if it's going to be, we're just going to have a bunch of different packages. Or is it the NASCAR package for a higher percentage of the time?
No,
like a NASCAR package on steroids.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this is like an if then sequence, right?
Yeah.
If everything we're hearing about Trey Moore is true, then we have a pickle on our hands as far as figuring out exactly how this whole implementation process is going to be occurring. And the only issue is they're not allowing us out to practice to see any of it. Now, you can find us on X at Alex Dunlap NFL, at Cody Carpentier. We're here every night, 6 to 7 p.m. Orange Bloods Live. This is, of course, Football with Friends. It is indeed fun as hell. Thanks so much to our sponsors, Texas Beef Traders, Poncho Outdoors, Specs Wine, Spirits, and Finer Foods, celebrating 63 great years here in Texas, and MyPerfectFranchise.net, our great friend Andy Ludecki. We'll just ask you guys for 4 things on the way out. Please remember to like the show. We don't hit you over the head with it all show about it, but we certainly would appreciate you liking the show. It takes 2 seconds. It's free, but it helps us immensely. It's like giving us a tip. You can subscribe to the channel. The same thing there. If you like the show, you have a friend that might like the show, send them the show. Let them know, hey, these are my guys, Alex and Cody. They're talking NFL, Longhorns, SEC, NFL draft. Hopefully not too much UFL for your sake, for my sake. And then 4, if you like the show and you've stumbled on it, maybe you're watching on X where it looks like there are 6 times more people watching on X than are watching here on YouTube. Come on over to YouTube, check it out, come subscribe, or just watch us on X again. We don't care. We just love having you here with us. All right. Thank you guys for being here. We'll be back for a big Wednesday edition of the show, a hump day tomorrow, every night, 6 to 7 p.m. Love you guys. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.